Alright, I'm gonna be real here, solo Flawless Duality is not as easy as Prophecy or Pit. It's honestly pretty difficult without already being fairly used to the dungeon. But regardless, let's get into how to complete it. So once again, you're going to be using the same Titan Hammer build we've been using, which consists of the aspects Roaring Flames and Sol Invictus, and the fragments Ember of Char, Solace, Singeing, and Torches. This is all accompanied by the Lorelei Splendor Helm or Syntheseps, 100 Resilience, and the Classy Restoration seasonal mod. But when it comes to this dungeon, I would definitely be around 1570 power for an easier time. So before the first encounter, absolutely nothing is different. I would just recommend being pretty careful on your way, but if you end up falling off, you can just easily restart the dungeon with little consequence.
The heck?
Alright, so for the first encounter of the dungeon, I personally used Ignition Code, but really any Blinding Nade grenade launcher should work. And there's actually a kinetic slot grenade launcher that can roll with blinding nades from this encounter specifically. So if you don't have a blinding nade kinetic grenade launcher, it would definitely be in your best interest to grab that. I also use first and last out for my secondary weapon, but any slug should do. And finally, I use tracked cannon for my heavy weapon. Most of the ad killing is going to be done with your hammer, but the blinding nades are really just there to help blind bellkeepers and large amounts of ads. Lastly, I use Syntheseps instead of Lorelei, just because I wanted to have higher damage numbers from my hammers on the boss. That's really all there is for this encounter. It's definitely the easiest out of the three in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the second encounter that's like the only one that's kind of hard. Kidding me? Come back here. There we go.
Once again, the jumping sections have nothing different when it comes to doing it solo, but I would personally put on Lion Rampants and a sword just to be safe. Moving on to the second encounter of the dungeon. The vault does not leave a lot of wiggle room for mistakes and can easily be the hardest section of the dungeon if you don't already have a well understanding of how the encounter works. My best memory tips of where things are within the encounter was remembering that the lower section of the map had Cup and Sun, while the higher half had Dog and Axes. Lastly, just always keeping in mind where the Bellkeepers are going to spawn is very important to know. When it comes to the loadout in this encounter, I took off Syntheseps for Lorelei, just because I wanted to focus on survivability. Weapon-wise, I used Forbearance with Chain Reaction from the Vow of the Disciple raid in order to kill the shielded Cabal within the encounter very easily. Other than that, I used an Eager Edge Sword so I could freely launch myself within the map with ease. And lastly, I used Fatebringer, but really any primary can work, it's all up to you. I wouldn't worry about big boss damage within this encounter, it's really all about speed and survivability.
Ooh, Lion Rampants? Okay. There we go.
Let's go! For the last time, the jumping section is no different. Just be really careful because it would suck to lose a solo flawless run to falling off the map.
Woo! Dude, this is getting stressful.
Woo! Okay. 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 So for the final encounter, you've really got to focus on staying alive and having your throwing hammer ready at all times. So for my loadout, I kept on Lorelei and made sure to put on elemental charge and high energy fire so I could increase my DPS. Also, I changed my barrier ability to rally barricades simply because it came back faster and gave enhanced reload towards my weapons during DPS. Speaking of weapons, I used Fatebringer again just because I like it, and I switched back to first and last out for quick kills if my hammer is lagging. And finally, I put on Threaded Needle, but if you have a better linear like Storm Chase or a Cataclysmic, those would definitely work just as good, if not better. So when it comes to dealing with the encounter before the damage phase, your hammer and shotgun are going to be your best friends. Both of them are going to allow you to kill your specific scions, as well as bell keepers fairly quickly without too much stress. But once you get to the damage phase, I would really focus on killing your bell keepers and getting good damage on Keitel. My easy trick for the bell keepers was just throwing my hammer at the closest ones, but the later kills had to be with my shotgun or linear most of the time. I wouldn't stress out too much about survivability in there, just because all your abilities and exotics should be able to keep you alive. Lastly, it's totally okay if you mess up the damage phase and Keitel stops it early. I personally messed up my third damage phase and had to 4-phaser in the end.
Dude, that scared me. That felt like a moment where you just get like smacked into a wall and instantly die. Okay, we're gonna get the middle two dead. Okay, that side. Let's go! Let's go! There we go. Woo! Dude, that was scary. Oh my god. Dude, that was so scary. Oh my god. Jesus.
So that's it. This is most likely going to be my last solo Flawless Dungeon video until the next dungeon releases, but regardless, thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and make sure to check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/cursecabbage17.